I'm Glenn Blair. Welcome to A Geezer's Perspective. Recently, someone commented on a rant I did some months ago about the state of our government by suggesting that Ambrose Bierce could have been a good resource for it. Wow, he'd fit in well with Carlin, Twain and Will Rogers that I quoted. Don't know if you're familiar with him, but he goes way back for me. Haven't heard that name in years. A hero of mine from my youth. Ambrose wrote The Devil's Dictionary, consisting of common words followed by cynical but humorous definitions. I have no memory of how I first came to be aware of Bierce other than hearing or reading, I don't know which, what I thought was a very clever definition. It was a definition of adamant. Adamant, Bierce said, was being wrong at the top of your voice. I thought that was insightful and hilarious, and I used the quote often over the years. I tried to find it in his dictionary, but couldn't pin it down precisely. There were essays and early versions in a variety of forms over a number of years that finally, in 1911, were consolidated and published as The Devil's Dictionary. I did find a similar quote, but not the one that I've attributed to Bierce over many years. He had a number of careers. Soldier, he fought in the Civil War. Journalist and writer, mainly short stories. Had he been a stand-up comic in his day, the early 1900s, he would have been a George Carlin equivalent. Piercing insights about mankind and our behaviors, and especially our misbehaviors. Here's an example. Ambrose Bierce defines love. Love, a temporary insanity curable by marriage. Or here's one that could not be more appropriate for what we're going through right now. Politics, a strife of interests masquerading as a contest of principles, the conduct of public affairs for private advantage. Not sure where he got his cynicism and sense of humor, but genetics might have been a factor. He was the 10th of 13 children, all of whom were given names by their father, beginning with the letter A. In order of birth, the Bierce siblings were Abigail, Amelia, Anne, Addison, Aurelius, Augustus, Almeida, Andrew, Albert, Ambrose, Arthur, Adelia, and Aurelia. His mother's name was Laura, though in my version of the dictionary, it's defined as exhausted. There are a few more of my favorites. Cynic, a blackguard whose faulty vision sees things as they are, not as they ought to be. Egotist, a person of low taste, more interested in himself than in me. Cabbage, a familiar kitchen garden vegetable about as large and wise as a man's head. Finally, war. War is God's way of teaching Americans geography. I'll end by giving myself a homework assignment, and maybe you'll want to give it a try if you haven't already. In 2005, author Kurt Vonnegut stated that he considered Bierce's short story, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, the greatest American short story, and a work of flawless American genius. I haven't read it, but I've got to.